Good afternoon and welcome to Florida Action for Healthy Kids, Healthy Fundraising in Florida Schools, a guide for parents and staff to meet the USDA and Florida Smart Snack Standards. We are so excited to have you with us today, and we have a lot to cover, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, with Florida Action for Healthy Kids, we are so excited to provide this webinar with the Florida Department of Education, Office of Healthy Schools, Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, Division of Food, Nutrition and Wellness, Florida Department of Health, Coordinated School Health Program, and the Florida PTA. From these organizations, we have Mindy Haas, the President, Florida PTA, Jamie Birch, who is the lead dietitian with the Florida Department of Agriculture. I'll be speaking Melody Griffin, the Florida State Coordinator from Action for Healthy Kids, Penny Taylor, the Director of the Office of Healthy Schools, and Sade Collins, the Coordinated School Health Coordinator with Florida Department of Health. And to get this webinar started, I'm going to hand it over to Mindy Haas, who is our Florida PTA President. Take it away, Mindy.
Thank you, Melody. I really appreciate that introduction. Today we're here to talk about health and wellness initiatives and healthy school snacks and how it all relates to the parent component. So let me share with you just a little bit first about what Florida PTA or who Florida PTA is. Many of you know that we are the oldest and largest child advocacy association for the past 91 years. We will be celebrating actually our 92nd birthday on April 14th. We are comprised of hundreds of thousands of families, students, and teachers, and also administrators, business and community leaders devoted to improving the lives of children and youth in our state. And we continue to empower all on the importance of advocating for all children. Florida PTA prides itself on being a powerful voice for all children. Okay. Sorry about this. My mouse is a little faster than I anticipated. Okay. Now I know the speed of the mouse. Florida PTA's health and wellness goals is to encourage the home, school, and community to responsibly evaluate the effects of health, safety, and environment on children prenatal through youth. So that basically we are looking at everything from the child's mental health, the child's physical health, beginning from the time that they are born and through their college or career ambitions. We promote and provide activities and resources to help caregivers create a healthier and safer environment for our children. We provide information to parents and teachers and members of our association on the importance of nutrition and routine exercise, and educate and inform on our PTA positions for health and wellness issues. How do we reach our goals? Well, by starting just like we are today, by being part of state and community coalitions. We follow our strategic plan that gets implemented through our board of directors. And we have had opportunities to create health and wellness resolutions that have given us opportunities to provide position statements. So when we speak to our legislature, whether it's in Tallahassee or at home, we have opportunity to speak on our topics. We engage our members in current events, which health and wellness is probably your most current of all events. We introduce programs that come from the national PTA as well as programs that are implemented through our state association. And we offer grants and scholarships for our local PTA units to hold programs and events in their communities. And we've had opportunities to create challenges. We have implemented programs like treats, instead of sweets, but treats, where schools would have opportunities to share programs that they're doing instead of rewarding children with a sweet. we give them opportunity to provide a great treat. So any type of opportunity that we could engage our members with, other than food related, we do try to do that. So what can PTA leaders do to engage families and community to assure that the school, the students, and the administration are in compliance with the guidelines of our smart snacks? Well, the school districts will ensure, we want to make sure that our school districts all are in compliance with the smart snack guidelines. And within our schools, it may vary who is responsible for the compliancy. It could be your principal, it could be another administrator, it could be a nurse, it could end up being a volunteer. So reach out to your school administration and see who's in charge of making sure that the food and beverages sold at school during the day, and what you'll learn shortly is up to 30 minutes after the school day is over, and that we are in compliance with our Smart Snacks guidelines. So work with your school nutrition staff and become part of our Healthy School team, and you'll learn about that as the PowerPoint or our presentation continues. Engage families and communities to understand the guidelines. So what does that mean? We need to go out into our communities. We need to share with our businesses, our local businesses that do business with our school. Let them know what the guidelines are so they can provide healthy products that our children will be able to eat in school and would be able to eat outside when they're shopping and doing business in the community with their families. So if everybody's on the same page, everyone understands what the guidelines are, it's going to make a smoother transition for our teachers and for our schools. So that will then lead into working directly with your teachers to make the transition easier and supporting them in gaining the acceptance of these new standards. Anytime we bring something new into our schools, whether it's good or bad, there's always a challenge. So to help the teachers make the transition easier, work with your Healthy School team or become the leader of your Healthy School team. Incorporate food and beverages that meet the Smart Snack guidelines into your PTA events. It's great when the school's paying attention to what's happening, and then we host a carnival and there's cotton candy and churros and ice cream and Taco Bell. I don't mean to name out any one organization, because I certainly love Taco Bell, but we want to make sure that we are doing what's best for our children even outside of the scope of the school day. And support the school in implementing the changes to provide healthier food and beverages every day to the students. And, sorry, like I said, this is a very fast mouse. Do you know your school wellness policy? If you don't, you could, of course, you can find out from your school district what the policy is. Then I suggest you download a model wellness policy to use as your guideline. When I use the term policy, your district will have a policy. What we're going to try to create here is the procedures to go with your policy. As a PTA member, we put those two words together, policy and procedure. Those are our guidelines in PTA. So what we would do here is when we see the word policy, we are talking about policies and procedures. So look for the highlighted section in any model wellness policy that you can implement into your district or to your school where you might see that is not fully implemented, or in a way that might be different than what you have seen before in your school policy. Work with your wellness team to adapt to the policy and make sure that you meet your district's priorities. Every district will have its own priorities, but you as a leader want to make sure that you're following the priority and that you can only enhance it with what you bring to the table. Consider adding any recommended texts that the model wellness policy offers, and make sure that it is there to strengthen the language of the policies and procedures in certain areas. And then, of course, once this is all in place, you want to implement the policy. You want to implement your procedures. How would you make that happen? You want to make sure that everyone on the team is understanding of how the action plan is going to take place. So policies, procedures, making sure that you have a good, strong action plan, set deadlines, set determination of who's going to carry on with what action, and of course update nutrition guidelines for your activities, meetings, celebrations, events to reflect our Smart School Snack guidelines. And of course you can learn more about this through any of the information that you're going to hear through the rest of this webinar, as well as FloridaPTA.org, as well as National PTA, which is www.pta.org. And thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you. And right now I'd like to introduce to you Jamie Birch, and she is with the Department of Agriculture.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today, and thank you, Melody and Action for Healthy Kids, for inviting our agency to participate in this webinar. Also, again, thank you, Mindy, for coordinating to allow us to share this information about our programs with members of the Florida PTA, because we don't often get the opportunity to talk with parents and teachers and school administrators, so I'm happy to be able to do that today. So just to give you a little background about us, as you may know, most schools in the state of Florida participate in the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs. But what you may not know is that these nutrition programs are administered through our Division of Food, Nutrition, and Wellness here at the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. So in this capacity, we're committed to ensuring that every child in Florida benefits from nutritious meals to better support learning and promote a healthy lifestyle. We work mostly alongside of school nutrition professionals and wellness leaders in the state and in the communities, and as well as with conjunction with USDA to advocate for changes in policies to ensure that the most nutritious meal is provided to the children. We're also responsible for monitoring and oversight of school meals programs in Florida. So we spend a lot of time interpreting and sharing regulatory guidance from USDA. And for me, that includes assisting schools with meeting nutrition standards for school meals, and as well, more recently, providing information regarding USDA's Smart Snacks and school standards. So for my portion today, I hope you'll come away with a better understanding of what Smart Snacks and school nutrition standards are and why they were created, as well as what they mean for schools and how the standards will affect parents. So without further ado, what are the Smart Snacks and School Standards, and why were they created? So the answer goes back to 2010 when Congress passed the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. So this piece of legislation created big changes in school meals. Schools are now providing more whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and lean proteins than ever before. Beginning this school year, 2014-15, USDA implemented the next phase called the All Foods Sold in School Standards, or more commonly referred to as Smart Snacks in School. So the Smart Snacks in School standards were designed to build on the advancements already in place in schools and to support the efforts of parents and communities all working hard to instill healthy eating habits in children. So you can see here on this infographic from USDA that shows how the nutritional value of foods generally served on the school campus changed with the new standards. So as you can see, before the new standards, foods had more calories overall, and many of those calories were empty calories or calories from added fats and sugars, and also those provided little nutritional value. But after the new standards, foods have fewer calories, and those calories have more nutritional value, meaning they contain more vitamins, minerals, and protein that students need to grow and learn. So what does this mean for schools? But first, let me start by saying that the regulations from USDA and the state are minimum standards that were created to improve the school nutrition environment, but they were also created to balance the diverse needs of all schools that are required to comply with these standards. So schools or school districts may elect to have stricter policies or practices related to competitive foods. It just depends on their local needs. So having said that, one thing is important to note is that the federal Smart Snack standards only apply to foods and beverages sold to students on the school campus during the school day. They do not apply to foods that are not being sold, so that's a key word there. Nor do they apply to teachers' lounges or other areas on the campus that are not accessible to students. And they don't apply to events or activities held outside of the school day. So since this rule was first published, we've had a lot of questions from school districts. Many of the questions pertain to the nutrition standards themselves. At first, schools were concerned that there are no products on the market that meet the new standards. So I'm going to show you in a moment that there are lots of products that meet the standards and that students like. So making these healthy options available to students on the school campus will complement the recent improvements in school meals and make the healthy choice the easy choice for Florida students. There also have been a lot of questions about fundraisers. Can we have food fundraisers? What foods are allowed? When can we have fundraisers? Are there any exemptions? So in creating their rule, USDA had said all along that they wanted to preserve the flexibility for time-honored traditions. So foods brought to school in bagged lunches, as well as for birthday parties and special events, are not regulated by the Smart Snack rule, as long as those items are not being sold to students. According to the USDA, some items like frozen cookie dough and pizza that are not intended to be consumed at school are also allowed. But again, schools and districts could have stricter policies. Also, while we want to encourage healthy messages beyond the school day, the new standards only apply to fundraising held during school hours. But so the next question will be, are there any exemptions? USDA authorized each state to allow for a limited number of exemptions to the fundraising or the Smart Snack standards for fundraisers. And I'll go over the state rule and the number of exemptions allowed in more detail in just a few minutes. But I want to point out that in Florida, schools at their discretion can have fundraisers that include food that meet the Smart Snack nutrition standards only if they occur 30 minutes after the last lunch period. So what makes a food compliant with Smart Snacks? What are my allowable food options? The Smart Snack rule includes some general requirements for competitive foods. At a minimum, all competitive food must be either one of the following: a grain that's made up of 50% or more whole grains, or it could, if it's not a grain, it could have as the first ingredient one of the other major food groups like fruits, vegetables, dairy, or protein. Or it may be a combination food that contains at least a quarter cup of fruit or vegetable. Or until through school year 15-16, foods that contain 10% of the daily value of a nutrient of public health concern are also allowed. So as I mentioned, there are lots of healthy snacks that meet the nutrition standards that are already available on the marketplace. The Alliance for a Healthier Generation has developed a product navigator tool that is very helpful to find products that are compliant. So I just wanted to take a minute to show you that because I think it's really helpful for parents and PTO members who are looking to do fundraisers to find products that meet the standards without doing a lot of calculating on their own. So basically, if you go to this site here at the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, you can download a list of Smart Snacks. And it is an Excel file. And as you can see, there's a long list of items that you can pick from. You can search this document for various snacks and side items, as well as entrees and beverages for the different age groups. So again, that's the Alliance for a Healthier Generation's website. In addition, on their website, they have a product calculator right here. And so if you have a product that you do want to use, you can actually enter your nutrition label into that product calculator and answer their questions and find out if the product is compliant. So that's foods and beverages, and that's just to show you what is out there. But in addition, the nutrition standards for beverages are also healthier. All foods can sell water, milk, and 100% juice, but high schools have a few other options, including calorie-free and low-calorie beverages, and those can be carbonated or non-carbonated. So now I'd like to go into just a little bit more detail about Florida's competitive food rule. As mentioned, the Federal Smart Snack Rule says that it allows for exemptions for school-sponsored fundraisers that are infrequent, and the states are permitted to set the exemption frequency. If a state were to not set an exemption frequency, then by default there would be 0 exemptions allowed. So prior to the Smart Snack Rule, Florida did have a competitive food rule in existence, but it did not regulate all foods sold on campus, and there was language in there that was inconsistent with the federal rule and would be no longer relevant. Therefore, to address these changes and maintain consistency with the federal rule, AFHK, the Division of Food, Nutrition, and Wellness, felt it was necessary to change its state rule on competitive foods. So we published an amendment last summer to adopt the federal Smart Snacks rule and establish an exemption for infrequent school-sponsored fundraisers. Also, Florida's rule is stricter in a couple of ways, one being that competitive foods being sold to students during the school day cannot consist of ready-to-eat meat grain entrees, so for example pizza, hot dogs, or hamburgers. And those are not allowed unless being sold by the food service program. The second stricter piece of the Florida rule is that all food fundraisers have to occur 30 minutes after the last lunch period. So the existing state rule had established certain safeguards to ensure the financial viability of the school food service program, which is very crucial to the health of many of our students. And as a state agency, we had to balance the needs of all of our stakeholders to create a rule that was supportive of all parties. So recognizing the needs of the school groups, the state rule does allow for some exemptions, though, and those exemptions also apply to that meat grain entree restriction. So the new state rule allows for school boards to grant exemptions for fundraisers to occur for up to 5 days in an elementary school, 10 days in a middle or junior high school, and 15 days in a high school. And for combination schools, it will be 10 days. So to demonstrate compliance, each district school board is to maintain records to document the occurrence of those fundraisers, and then those would be monitored by our administrative reviews. And then finally, the last piece of Florida's competitive food rule has to do with the establishment of a healthy school team. The new rule requires each district school board to establish a healthy school team by June 30th, 2015 for all schools under its jurisdiction. The healthy school team should include parents, students, school food service program representatives, school administrators, school health professionals, PE teachers, and the public. So this is a great opportunity for parents in the community to get involved. In addition to monitoring for this rule, this healthy school team model will help school districts to be successful in meeting USDA's proposed expanded guidelines for school wellness policies, and that is a rule that is expected to be finalized this summer. So that is all for my part of the presentation. I again want to thank you for allowing me to be involved and share this information with you. And now I will pass it on to Melody for lots of good information about healthy fundraisers.
Great. Thank you, Jamie. I'm so excited to talk with everyone today about some ideas for healthy fundraisers and how you can actually implement those. So we know that fundraising is so critically important to your schools, and we're not telling you to stop those. On the contrary, we want you to continue them, but we want them to have that healthy message throughout them, and we want to help you get there. So This might be what a typical fundraiser looks like at your school. It may be restaurant nights, vending, bake sales. You know, we just encourage you to think about what type of message that sends. Are you having a healthy fundraiser that backs up all the health and wellness activities that are going on in your school? Or are you maybe sending mixed messages to your students? This may look like a PTA calendar at your school, and while they're doing a great thing with a fun run, they follow it up with a fundraiser at Joe's Junk Food. Then they have a wellness meeting and a TV turn-off week, but then it's celebrated with a pancake party. And you can see how students may be a little confused about this. And we're really excited that this PTA has some healthy fundraising, but we want to help get you to where a majority, if not all, of your activities are healthy and send that message to your students, your parents, and your staff. With conflicting messaging, children just don't know which way to turn. Hopefully they're getting physical activity in the school. They're getting the 150 minutes of state-mandated PE. They're learning how to make healthy choices. But if we bombard them with unhealthy fundraisers and activities, we're just going to do a little bit of confusing there, and we want to make sure we empower them and educate them to make the healthy choice when possible. So why healthy fundraising? Why should we care about this? Well, not only is it going to be a standard now, as Jamie was talking about, but there's other reasons. Studies have related the availability of snacks and drinks sold in schools to higher intakes of calories, sugar drinks, total fat, etc. And this translates into heavier children. If you look around a kindergarten classroom today, more than likely about 1 in 3 of those children will be overweight or obese. And those overweight or obese children are more likely to become overweight or obese adults with countless side effects to that overweight or obesity, including heart disease, stroke, cancer, etc. And this is what always surprises me. Being overweight or obese has become the leading medical reason that our recruits are rejected for military service. So essentially, the weight of our country is creating the #1 security reason for it, or security threat, I'm sorry. So why are we taking these to schools? Well, the way I look at it and when I present about this, I liken schools to adults' places of employment. That's where you spend most of your time. That's where they get most of their information. And as a parent, I know that often the teachers and the staff at the school have a louder voice with my child than maybe I do at home. But that's okay, because as a parent, your voice is really loud and really powerful within the schools. And we want to do everything we can do to ensure that all those hours our kids spend at school are in a healthy school environment. And at the end of the day, if we're providing a healthy school environment with a healthy breakfast and healthy lunch, as well as opportunities for physical activity, we're actually creating what we call the learning connection. Kids that eat well and are active learn better. One study, there are numerous studies that back this up, but one recent study shows that there's a significant association between diet quality and academic performance. So with that learning connection, knowing that a healthy child is going to do better in the classroom, we want to ensure that we're providing healthy opportunities for our kids, and with that comes healthy fundraisers. So we want to give you some ideas for those healthy fundraisers. There's non-food fundraisers, things like seed starter kits and plants, candles, family fun nights, yard sales. The list is almost endless. You can do active fundraisers. Many schools are having a lot of success with fun runs. We had a school do a hippity hopathon where they got on the little bouncy balls and hopped along. You can do a bike-a-thon, a dance-a-thon, a lot of ways to get active and raise money around that. You can also do healthy food fundraisers. So maybe food is a really great way to raise money at your school, but we want to see you replace that unhealthy cookie dough or other unhealthy items with some healthy items. Why not bring in a local farmer's market? Maybe have healthy snacks at your concession stand, or do fruit sales. These are some options to continue that food fundraising, but do it with a healthy twist. Another thing I'm a big fan of are community service fundraisers. Have kids learn the value of doing work in the community while still raising money for your school. Things like service tune-ups, car washes, mulch delivery. There's quite a few things you can do to get your kids active in the community while still raising money for your school. So we've covered a few things here. We want you to remember the ideas about healthy fundraisers. Talk with other parents to see what might work at your school. What works for your school might not work for another school nearby. So make sure you're implementing a fundraiser that will have interest to your students, your staff, and your parents. If you're not a member of the PTA or other parent organization at your school, make sure you include them in the conversation. Ask students, see what they want for fundraising. They're going to be your biggest advocates and sellers. You want to make sure that they're interested and ready to go. Bring everyone together, develop a budget, and talk about what's going to work best for your school. So we've been talking about healthy fundraisers, and you might be wondering, does this really work in Florida? How are we going to do this? Well, I'm so happy to tell you that it does. Parents are talking about healthy fundraisers and what they do and how it works. Some parents shared with us that they have uniforms at their school and students pay $1 every other Thursday to participate in a dress down day. One school raised money selling roses for Mother's Day, and they funded an entire graduation trip for the 5th grade. And school stores are transitioning from selling unhealthy items to books and pencils and erasers, and they're still making money, and sometimes even more than they did before. And here's some specific examples. Lake Sibylla Elementary and Maitland transitioned from unhealthy food-based fundraiser to running an event coordinated by an external agency to then one by the PTA. So they went from the unhealthy food raiser to an activity-based fundraiser. They were doing a fun run, and they had that organized by an outside agency, which was working well, but that outside agency took some of their profit. And after a couple years of doing it, they said, you know what, we think we can do it on their own. Their PTA took over the responsibility of coordinating that race, and in the first year, they raised over $20,000. And just this year, they raised over $30,000. Here's an example of a high school. They had a golf-type scramble or golf classic. Great opportunity to get sponsors, to engage your business partners, get dads and community members involved in the fundraiser, and a really nice fundraiser for a high school. And as you can see, it was hosted by their ROTC. Here's an example of a high school up in Pensacola, and we want to commend them for the wonderful activities they're doing. They did a wreath fundraiser, they did a turn in your cell phone fundraiser, they did a yard sale, they even did a great idea around Santa's workshop. But if you look towards the bottom of the flyer, you'll see that they had a bake sale. We're crossing our fingers that that was healthy items at that bake sale, but there's always room for improvement. So round of applause for them for implementing healthy fundraisers, but always want to ensure we're sticking with that consistent messaging. Here's Ferry Pass Middle School in Pensacola. They sold t-shirts to make a profit. They utilized Yankee Candles fundraiser, and they also did a program with, or a fundraiser with Shopperoo, which helps them raise money for every purchase made through that website. And don't worry, There are so many resources available to help you raise money in a healthy way for your school. For any questions related to Smart Snacks, what exactly is allowed through that program, what the standards are, you are going to go to our experts in the state of Florida, which is Jamie Birch and her team through the Florida Department of Agriculture, and you can see the link there. We have a parent toolkit available through Action for Healthy Kids, and this will help you advocate at the school level for your healthy school team, for wellness, and to tell you how you can take ownership of healthy activities within your school. USDA has a great website with Smart Snack resources, as well as their Team Nutrition website, where you can order free of charge numerous resources to put up in your school, including posters, stickers, handouts, gardening resources. I highly encourage you to go on there and order what might work in your school. And then there's the CDC. They have a wonderful website as well. And this is just a few. There are so many websites out there and resources available to you as a parent as you look to implement healthy fundraising and programming in your school. And if you ever need help determining which website or resource might be best for you, any of the presenters on this call would love to help you. This is an example of what an Action for Healthy Kids tip sheet looks like. We can get these to you free of charge. They're really glossy. You can see they're colorful. They're easy to read. It's a wonderful tool to pass out at a PTA meeting, have at your school's front desk, have at a wellness event, a family fun night. So if you're interested, look over our resources and we'd be happy to get them to you. Likewise, the Florida Department of Agriculture, who, as I said, is our resident expert in everything Smart Snacks, has numerous resources on their website. If you are just thinking, I don't even know where to start with all these fundraising ideas, you can go on their website and see the ideas broken down into everything from sports, kitchen, gifts, raffles, etc. And they'll have a website associated with it. They have an easy-to-read fundraising ideas, and I love this poster that they have that you could put up in your school about how a healthy body results in a healthy mind. Really great way to get people engaged in your programming. And here's a resource guide, one of many, but I love this one. There's no picture for it, but if you go there, it tells you exactly how to do these fundraisers. So we're talking to you about ideas and we talk to you about success stories, but maybe you've been selling cookie dough and you don't know how to implement a catalog fundraiser, or you don't know how to do a fun run. If you use this resource, it'll take you step by step through each fundraiser. We'll tell you what your budget will be, what type of profit you can expect based on your school population, and really kind of hold your hand through the entire process. Again, there's more out there, but this is one of the best resources that I've come across. And before I hand it over to my colleagues, I really encourage each and every one of you on this webinar to join Action for Healthy Kids as we look to create a 100,000 person movement to make all schools healthier places. We want to ensure we work with every one of you in every one of your schools to create an environment where kids are making that connection and are able to perform as best as they can because they are healthy and ready to learn. At this time, I'm going to pass it off to Penny Taylor, who is the Director of the Office of Healthy Schools for the Florida Department of Education. Take it away, Penny.
Thank you, Melody. This is Penny Taylor, and as I've been listening to the webinar so far and participating, it just reminds me of this Mother Teresa quote that I just love, and I feel like we experience it all the time. What I can do, you cannot do. What you can do, I cannot do. But together, we can do beautiful things. And that is what we are locking arms at the state level and with organizations to provide everything that you need to be successful in helping schools and students and staff be healthy, build those healthy schools. I am in the Tallahassee, and my colleague from the Department of Health is in the room with me. I'd like to introduce her to you.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Shadi Collins. I am the Coordinated School Health Coordinator at the Florida Department of Health.
And we've talked a little bit about, or a lot, about schools. Let me see if I can get to my next slide. Oh, that fast mouse is going again. There we go. We've talked mostly about schools, and I think we touched a tiny bit on the district, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of information and intrigue you a little bit if you haven't been involved. There is a district requirement for a school health advisory committee, and it's been in place since 1973. Florida was one of the very first states to enact this type of legislation. And initially, it was for a very important reason. The school health services plan needed to be approved, and so this group was mandated, and it's the Department of Health and the Department of Education that jointly were charged to oversee it. At the time and through the years, most of the meetings were about important things like immunizations and then head lice. Well, about 9 years ago, or exactly 9 years ago, the legislature expanded that statute and added some language that was based on the Centers for Disease Control's Coordinated School Health model. And that was requiring that these school health advisory committees have representation from all 8 components of a coordinated school health model. And if you look up on the top of that model, on the left top, that's purpley pink, family and community involvement is one of the 8. And so if you're not on your SHAC, and that's what we call it, SHAC, in your district, I would encourage you to seek them out. They welcome parent involvement and a parent voice. There are 67 SHACs throughout the state of Florida. They look different. They have one mission that is exactly the same, and that is to advise the school district on a comprehensive school health program. What's unique about each one of them is they operate a little differently. Some of them meet once a month, like the one in Duval. Some of them meet 4 times a year, like in Pinellas. And you get a different flavor for each school district. The one thing that I found in common is they value your time so much that they're very vigilant about keeping their meetings very tight. They're usually an hour, never more than 2 hours. And the information that is shared, and some of them even develop policy, is very important. So now I want to mention one of the activities that many of the SHACs are going through right now across the state, and that is in helping build a healthy school district. That 8-component model that was on the previous slide is included in what's called the Florida Healthy School District Self-Assessment Tool. And this assessment tool has allowed districts to go in and look at all those 8-component areas and rate where they are with their policies, their procedures, and their practices. And those that rate at a high enough level can be recognized as bronze, silver, or gold. And it has been fantastic. The level of partnership and support from the state level to build healthy districts has been amazing. The Florida Coordinated School Health Partnership is where this was birthed. The Florida Action for Healthy Kids got on board and is supporting it, Florida Healthy Kids Corporation, and lastly, and very important, is the Florida Association of District School Superintendents. Right now, there are 27 districts that are recognized, and it's a 2-year designation. The superintendents receive Florida Healthy School District polo shirts at their peer meetings in the fall, and it is becoming more and more of a healthy competition with those school superintendents. So now I would like to pass it off to my colleague Sade, so she can introduce you to the healthy school districts.
Thank you, Penny. As Penny mentioned, 27 school districts have been recognized for achieving the highest standards in the 8 component areas of coordinated school health. As you can see, for the 2014-2016 designation, 20 districts were recognized, and then 2013-2015, 7 districts were recognized. So looking at this list, do you see your school district? If not, this is an opportunity for you to get involved and be part of a conversation to motivate your school district to complete the assessment. Districts are encouraged to include parents and school staff in the assessment process. So at the Florida PTA Summit just a couple weeks ago, a parent heard about the assessment and the Florida Healthy District recognition, and immediately they contacted their school district. Now, this is just one instance that shows the power of parents. So if you don't see your school district here, think about what you can do to motivate your school district to complete the assessment just to see where your school is. So we are here. We're ready to serve you. We're ready to provide technical assistance and, as always, support your efforts. So hopefully by this time next school year, you would see your school district recognized as a Florida Healthy District. Melanie, I'll turn it over to you to begin the question portion of this webinar.
Great. Thank you so much to all of our super participants. We just are so lucky in Florida to have experts at the table coming together for a joint effort as we look to promote health and wellness within our schools. So if you have a question at this time, please enter it into the question box or the chat box, and we will be sure to get to as many as we can within the time we have left. So let's see here. Someone asked, is a healthy school team for each school or one per school district? Penny or Jamie, who would like to take that?
How about if I take the district part and then I leave the school part for Jamie?
Sounds great.
Great. That's that partnership again. Both. The answer is both. There is a requirement for a school health advisory committee at the district level, and you saw in the model the 8 component area representatives that need to be at the table. There's actually another committee that is required at the district level, and it's the Wellness Policy Committee. So some of the districts, I can name a few right off the bat, Escambia was the first one to do this. They have combined those two. They even call it, instead of a SHAC or a Wellness Policy Committee, they call it a SHWAC. And more and more we're seeing those two entities coming together. Some districts keep them separate, and it works for them doing that. Palm Beach is one that comes to mind. They have a very large, very strong wellness policy. I think they call theirs a wellness task force. And then they also separately have their school health advisory committee, but they make sure that they communicate back and forth from committee to committee. But more and more we're seeing that district level coming together as one. And Jamie, I'll let you talk a little bit about the school level.
Okay, I mean, I think what you said is definitely, you mentioned that there's the Wellness Policy Committee, and that is required by USDA. And now, as I mentioned earlier, with the Florida rule that requires a healthy school team, that is at the school level, at the individual school level, and it's intended to monitor the school wellness environment, including the smart snacks and school requirements. That school committee will most likely serve as a resource to the school for healthy initiatives that may be taking place or that they may want to put in place. So that, yeah, the healthy school team is at the school level, and that will be required as of June 30th, 2015, this year. So that will be new for the 15-16 school year.
And the good news about that is the slide that Sade spoke to that had the 27 districts that are currently Florida Healthy School Districts recognized, they have already established wellness teams. They call them wellness teams or healthy school teams at the school level. So I would venture to say as many as half of the Florida school districts already have established wellness teams or healthy school teams. So we're well on our way.
Great, and don't worry if you are unsure about how to get your healthy school team started or how to find out about it or how to engage with it. The organizations on this webinar today, Department of Health, Department of Education, Florida PTA, Department of Ag and Action for Healthy Kids are all coming together to work on a healthy school team webinar. So we will be providing additional training and resources about how you can get that healthy team started or continue to build that healthy team. Additionally, Action for Healthy Kids is available to do training at your site for your healthy school team, so keep that in mind. And I think what piggybacks nicely on that is a question that states, can we get resources to help us talk about healthy fundraising and the healthy school teams at our PTA meeting and to present to our parents and principals? Who would like to take that?
Yes, I would. This is Mindy. We discussed that earlier today, and yes, we definitely could provide those resources. That will be something that this group will be, or we will be putting together, and we will make it available as soon as possible. We do know that when you meet with your school staff as a PTA, there are certain things that you have to do, certain guidelines, you have to make the right presentation, and we will definitely back that up with all the resources that you need to make sure that your principal, who does make the final decision at all of, or anything that's happening in that school, will have all supporting documentation to make sure that that happens.
Great. So yes, we're coming together to provide you the resources you need to have that conversation with your PTA and your principals. And additionally, part of that question was, will this webinar be available to view after today? And the answer to that is absolutely. We're going to have it posted on multiple websites, including Action for Healthy Kids and Florida PTA. We will send you an email just as soon as we have it up and running for your viewing. So, Jamie, we have a question for you. For fundraisers that occur before school or during school hours that sell foods not meeting the smart snack rules, and in parentheses it says candy, can schools continue to have these as long as the food is not consumed at school, or are schools still limited to 5 days per year for these types of fundraisers?
Well, the smart snack standards actually apply during the school day, which the school day is defined as midnight before the school day starts until 30 minutes after the official, after the bell rings. So before school fundraisers aren't allowed by federal rule if they don't meet the smart snack standards.
Okay, so the answer is even if students are not consuming the item, it still cannot be sold during the school day if it does not meet the smart snack standards, correct?
Correct. I mean, we would have to kind of hear that on a case-by-case basis because, it would depend on the type of fundraiser, but a candy, for example, a candy fundraiser before school would be one of those items that if it's available on the school campus and it's sold on the school campus, then it's probably able to be eaten on the school campus even if that's not the intention. So that's kind of our direction there.
Thank you for that. And Jamie, we have another question for you. Someone said, may you please clarify what an exempted fundraiser is?
Yes, an exempted food fundraiser is basically everything outside of the standards. So it's kind of anything really. There's certain days of the school year that we would allow for fundraisers to occur that don't meet any of those smart snacks or nutrition standards, including that meat grain entree requirement or restriction. So However, the caveat to that is that those would only be able to occur 30 minutes after lunch on those exempted days.
Great.
So just a certain number of days. It's actually exempt fundraiser days, and fundraisers that don't meet the standards can occur on those days.
Okay. And Jamie, it looks like you're on the hot seat. We have another question for you. Someone wanted to know about students who qualify for free lunch not sold to them. I believe the question is asking about if the lunch is not sold to them per se because they don't have to pay for it, does that lunch still have to follow the new USDA regulations?
No, well, those are different. There are different regulations for the National School Lunch and the School Breakfast Program, which would be serving those free and reduced price meals, and well, paid meals as well to students on the school campus. So anything that's sold or served as part of the National School Lunch or School Breakfast Program has to meet other nutrition standards. So there, as I mentioned earlier, there have to be whole grain. They have to have, milk offered and fruits and vegetables and proteins and things like that. And they have to be lower in sodium and fat and within a certain number of calories. So there are specific requirements for school meals, but they're different than the Smart Snack standards. The Smart Snack standards apply to foods sold a la carte on the lunch line. They could be a la carte items. So they're separate from the school lunch program, or they're sold in vending machines or school stores or via fundraisers. So those are the venues where the Smart Snacks requirements apply.
Great. And we have another question that is more associated with what's actually offered through school breakfast and school lunch. And I know you're an expert in your field, Jamie, so I'm going to throw it out there to you. Can you tell us a little bit about any of the fresh fruits and vegetable programs that are available through some of our Florida districts?
Well, I'm not an expert in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. However, we do have a fresh fruit and vegetable program, and we have a person in our office that I can definitely connect somebody with to talk about the fresh fruit and vegetable program that is available to some schools that are typically economically needy. But my general information about that is that they can offer snacks during the outside of the school day.
Okay.
So and then we also have our farm to school program, which is something that it's not so much foods being sold as fresh local produce being available in the schools, and it's connecting local farmers to schools in order to be able to provide local fresh produce in the schools, and also incorporates a school gardening component and things like that. So those are two fresh fruit and vegetable programs that we have in our office.
Okay. We have two more questions that I want to try to get in before 4:30. They are both related to fundraising. One participant asked Jamie if a class still uses excess class funds contributed by the students. Can they use it to purchase pizza for the end of the year? So, can a class use their funds to have a food-related party that doesn't meet Smart Snack standards?
So these are funds from the students?
Yes.
That I'm going to have to, I don't know that I can give an answer to that right now. That's one of those questions. There's a lot of questions that come up that sometimes we don't have the answer to. So that's something that I would ask the person who asked the question to contact me about, and we can discuss it on a one-on-one basis. But in general, it's foods that are sold to students, and that includes foods that are sold via cashing in a ticket or a token or something like that also, or there's an exchange of money of some sort. Those are the foods that would be subject to the Smart Snack standards.
Okay, well,
so
I
if
have
you want to give me a call to address that, that's fine.
I have that participant. information, and we'll share that with you. And our last question, because we are at 4:30, someone wants to know, did you say that the school store can sell smart snacks anytime during the school day?
Yes, the school store is not included as is not considered a fundraiser. Therefore, they can, if they also, like a vending machine, can have smart snacks during the school day. You know, they can sell items, foods during the school day that as long as they meet those smart snack nutrition standards, then that is allowed.
Great. We are right at 4:30. There's just been so much information today. Thank you, everyone, for participating. We look forward to continuing this conversation with you. You will receive a follow-up email from this webinar with my contact information. This is Melody with Action for Healthy Kids. And if you have any questions for any of our experts, please let me know, and I will send them to the right person so they can get back to you. Thank you so much. Have a healthy and happy day, and we'll be in touch soon.